Kristaps Porzingis. Okay, everyone. KP is going to miss tonight's game against the Denver Nuggets, which I will be streaming, by the way, on this channel, so make sure you tune in. I'll be going live at 8:45 p.m. Central Time, okay? But anyways, KP is scheduled to miss his second consecutive game. He obviously missed last night's game against the Spurs with a back injury. He checked out, I think it was, like halfway through the third quarter in that game against the Rockets on Tuesday with a back injury. And I'm ready to move on. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I'm ready to move on because this is the KP roller coaster. We know this. This is the KP ride, the KP experience. It's not really a roller coaster in the traditional sense of a roller coaster. It's more just like this. This is what the ride's like. Just constantly fucking down. Just constantly going down. Rarely ever. Maybe every once in a while you'll get a tiny little hump where you go up and something tiny good happens, you go up. But mainly it's just going straight down to the ground, to hell. And I'm pretty much ready to move on. I'm just going to be honest with you. I have been team trade KP now for probably the last year and a half, just ready to completely move on from him. But I'm at the point now where I will trade him for literally anybody in the NBA not named Kevin Love. That's currently where I'm at. I will trade him for literally anybody in basketball not named Kevin Love because it hasn't worked out. Right, we're at year 3 now of the KP experience. He still can't stay on the floor, but we knew that was going to happen. I just a little experiment for you guys. I want you guys to go back and look at any 7-footer throughout NBA history who has dealt with injury issues throughout their careers. They never figure it out. They deal with injury issues their entire career. It's at no point is it, okay, they've sort of figured out how to stay healthy. They deal with injury issues their whole career. So KP dealing with injuries is not a surprise. It shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. But the hope with KP was that, and this has sort of been what Mavs fans have hoped from KP since he came over, was that he would just be healthy for the playoffs. That was the thing, right? Because the bubble, that was the best we ever saw KP, right? He was all bubble team whenever he was the second team all bubble or whatever. And, it ended up getting hurt and missing the back end of that series against the Clippers. And you could make the argument, because KP, that was the best he looked in a Mavericks uniform, you could make the argument that if KP was there, the Mavs maybe win that series, right? So going into the past offseason, going into the 2020-2021 season, or was it, wait, what fucking year are we in? It was the 2020-2021 season. The hope was, okay, as long as KP is just healthy for the playoffs, that's all that matters, right? He can miss some time during the regular season, whatever, but as long as he's healthy for the playoffs, did the playoffs happen? And it was a disaster. It was an unmitigated disaster. And if you guys know me, if you guys have been following the channel, or if you guys watched the channel at all during the playoffs last year, you guys know that was the point where I completely gave up on KP. There was absolutely no point. I went past the point of return when it came to Kristaps Porzingis. I think it was after game 3 or game 4. It was one of the home losses where KP just had a complete and total stink fest, and I was pretty much done with him. KP, this man really is a wanted fugitive playing basketball every night on national TV. He's a wanted man. Highway fucking robbery, what he did to this team. What he did to this team should be a felony. It's absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable how terrible this has gone. I was done with him. My expectations for him were in the dirt, and I even banned KP's name on this channel. People could not come in the chat saying Kristaps Porzingis. People couldn't say KP. I was just done talking about him. My expectations for him were so low that even when he didn't play well, I didn't really care because that was my expectations for him, right? And part of the reason for that, I know that Mavs fans, we had our gripes with Rick Carlisle, and I know there's, a bunch of memes on Mavs Twitter currently because the Pacers are 1-3 or whatever, and everyone's joking on Rick Carlisle. But people in the know, people way smarter than me, think of him and regard Rick as one of the best offensive coaches in basketball, and in basketball history, really. He's a championship coach. He always gets the most out of his offenses. And if a basketball mind like that pretty much demotes you to just standing in the corner offensively and just catch and shoot threes and cutting occasionally, if that's your role, if that's what one of the brightest offensive minds in basketball wants you to do, then what the fuck do you expect? As a fan, what should I expect out of Kristaps? If that's what one of the best offensive minds in basketball thinks of Kristaps, what am I supposed to think of Kristaps, right? And then, from that point forward, I was done. I was done after his horrible series against the Clippers last year. I was completely done with him. I thank God I did not buy into any of the fucking hype for KP during the offseason. I just didn't buy into it at all. In fact, you guys can go watch any of my offseason recaps for the Mavs where I said it was a complete total disaster of an offseason because our biggest question mark going into the season again is Kristaps Porzingis, and the Mavs could not let that happen. The Mavs could not let the biggest what if of the season for them be Kristaps Porzingis, right? The Kristaps Porzingis trade ruined you. It ruined you. So once KP failed and you needed to make other moves to adjust, right? You needed we need an actual legitimate number 2, and maybe bringing in a legitimate number 2 can expand our team even more, because then KP goes to a smaller role as a 3, and maybe he sells in that role, and all this other stuff happens. The snowball effect. Luka doesn't need the ball in his hands that much. He's much more effective in the fourth quarter. All of this stuff happens. You can't do that because you don't have shit. They needed to do something in the offseason to have some insurance plan if KP inevitably played poorly or missed an extended period of time, and they just did not do that. So that's why that was a big reason why I thought this offseason was a complete and total failure for the Mavericks. And now here we are, a few games into the season, mind you, so you don't want to jump to too many conclusions, but he's about to miss his second straight game, and the 2.5 games he was on the floor, it looked horrible. It looked absolutely terrible. And again, early season stuff, right? You don't want to jump to too many conclusions. And I wouldn't, honestly, I wouldn't if we've seen KP play good. I wouldn't jump to too many conclusions if we've seen KP be good in the past. But KP just looks like the same KP now. It's just the same thing, right? It's not a 2.5 game sample size. It's a 3-year sample size. It is a 3-year sample size now of KP. It's not 2.5 games. Because I'm not banging the fucking desk saying trade Luka, because Luka's had a slow start. Of course not, because we know who Luka is. We know Luka's going to figure it out. Nobody's really concerned about Luka. Nobody's really concerned about Luka. Are we concerned about KP? Yes. It's been the same shit. KP's in the post, passing out, guarded by Gary Trent Jr. in the post, and settling for horrible fadeaway shots that he's breaking. This is who KP is at this point. And it's been a disaster. I mean, look at any of the numbers regarding KP. I think the Mavs are minus 30. I'm trying to remember these stats all the top of my head, but I'll put them up here. The Mavs are minus 30 when KP's on the floor and plus 24 when he's off so far this season. The Mavs have an offensive rating of 84 points per 100 possessions when KP's on the floor and 114 when he's off. And this all aligns with the eye test as well. The team just looks so much better when he's off the floor. Now, granted, part of the issue is, right, KP is out there with Dwight Powell, who is just horrendous. Right, I don't want to go too hard on Dwight Powell. I'll explain why in a second. Dwight Powell is just horrific, right? No offense to the guy. Seems like a great guy. The team obviously loves him, but the guy's just not very good. And so when the offense is now trying to run through KP in the post, but you also have Dwight Powell just fucking standing there, it's obviously going to make things complicated for KP. But, so that's probably part of the issue, part of the reason why KP's been off to a slow start. But again, this is who KP is. It's not a 2.5 game sample size. It's a 3-year sample size. And the narrative's all offseason. Mavs fans are tricking themselves, and I was not going to do it, and I'm so happy I did it. Mavs fans are tricking themselves. It's his first healthy offseason. Just think about that, right? He's going into year 3.5, technically, with the Mavs, and this was his first healthy offseason the entire time, right? People were saying, oh, Rick hated him, so now he's going to get with Jason Kidd, and it's going to be a lot better. That was a narrative. People, he was posting pictures of him in the gym. Everyone was losing their fucking minds, right? It's the yearly cycle with KP. KP sucks. Everyone's done with him, and then he posts a picture of him doing curls, and then everybody loses their mind on Twitter, right? And even KP himself it was talking about how, KP, there were reports that KP wanted a trade at the end of the season. And then Rick left, and then KP bought back in because Jason Kidd pretty much promised him that he would be a bigger piece of the offense. And the good thing is, right, is KP has looked better on defense. He has admittedly looked better defensively, but there's a trade-off there because in order to get him to buy in defensively, the team knows that they need to get him heavily involved offensively, and he's just not good enough. So do you take that trade-off? Do you take that trade-off where you're actively getting the ball out of a top 5 player in the league? So you can have KP fucking post up 6'6" guards and get stripped or break a fadeaway jump shot? Like, is it worth it? I don't think it is. I really do not believe that it is. When you have a guy like Maxi Kleber, who's going to also provide pretty good defense himself, and he can just stand on the perimeter and shoot, catch, and shoot threes. Like, you don't have to do anything else, but have him just stand on the perimeter and shoot, catch, and shoot threes. But in order for KP to be involved defensively, we have to coddle him and baby him and have our offense in the first half of games run through him and it go fucking disastrously. And then we have to spend the whole second half fighting tooth and nail to get back. Like, I don't know. I know this has been a little bit incoherent as a video, but I'm just rambling because I'm just so done with Kristaps, man. And it hurts me, right? Because when we all made the trade, I don't want anybody to... I don't want anybody to get it twisted because hindsight is always 20/20. Mavs fans, and myself included, were elated when this trade happened. I was so excited. I thought it was a perfect fit. I was so happy with the front office. And... it just has not worked out, and I'm ready to pull the plug now. Like, I'm just at that point. And I'm also at the point with Kristaps, and I'm at the same point with Dwight Powell now. I mean, what do you want me to say about Dwight Powell? Like, the guy's not good. And I don't want to sit here and shit all over Dwight Powell and blame Dwight Powell when it's not really his fault. Dwight Powell should not be getting these type of minutes in the NBA. He just should not. No respectable team, no serious organization should be giving Dwight Powell the role that Dwight Powell currently has on the Dallas Mavericks. So I don't blame Dwight Powell at all. I blame the front office. I do. I really do. That's kind of how I feel with KP now too. It's really hard for me to blame KP. I mean, we can blame KP because the team traded a decent amount of assets to get him. They gave him a max contract. So, there is an expectation out of him. But at the same time, we're at year 3 now of this. So, I mean, it's partially the front office's fault. The same thing with Dwight Powell. We're in year, 7 with Dwight Powell? In year, 2, 3 of him being horrible? So it's just like, it's easy to get mad at the players, but what does the front office think is going on here? Like, what the fuck what are they expecting out of these guys? Like, what? Like, they're just magically expecting a turnaround from these guys, and it's not happening, right? So I'm team trade KP. I'm team trade get Dwight Powell off the team entirely. I can't even talk because that's just how I feel about Dwight Powell. And if it means going against the leadership council, if it means going against the leadership tribunal, then so be it. So be it. I mean, you want to be a respectable organization. You want to be a contender. It's time to sit the leadership council down and say, hey, we have to do our job as a front office, and that involves going against you guys' opinion sometimes. If that means if you guys want a 15-man rotation, right? Sometimes we have to step in and be like, hey, we're not doing that. You guys want Dwight Powell to get 25 minutes a night. If we want to consider ourselves a respectable organization, we have to step in and say, hey, we respect you guys' opinions, but no, that shit's not happening. But we'll see. We'll see moving forward how this all plays out. I don't expect KP to get traded. I think his trade value is literally 0. I just don't see too many teams. I see Mavs fans on Twitter like, trade him for Jeremy Grant. Dude, why would the Pistons do that? Like, what in the world? Why would the Pistons do that? I've seen people say that they should trade him for Christian Wood. Why would the Rockets do that? If the Mavs are trading KP to the Rockets, it would be for John Wall. It would be for John Wall. And you know what? I would do it. I would seriously do it. I'm not kidding. I really am not. I'm at that point. All right. Let me know what you guys think about this. I know I'm rambling. I know I literally said on the last stream that my new season resolution is to not shit on players that hard. But I'm sorry, man. I've reached I've passed the point of no return with KP, and I'm pretty much ready to move on. And I'm ready to do it regardless of who it means we get back in return. That's just the point that I'm at. He can rarely stay on the floor. And when he is on the floor, he's a net negative. He just is. He's like the things that you get out of KP, which currently so far this season has been defense. Even that comes at a detriment to the team because you have to try to get him involved offensively for him to even be checked into the game, and that usually does not end well. All right, so let me know what you guys think about this. I'll be streaming the Mavs game tonight, 8:45 p.m. Central Time. See you guys there, okay? Also, we'll be streaming the Mavs game on Sunday, but I might be a little bit late to that one, but I will be streaming that game on Sunday. And I'll stream all the Mavs games and some other games mixed in as well. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Okay, goodbye.